Picture this. 6 girls, unrecognized athletes, are assembled on a basketball court in groups of 3. They are wearing skirts almost to their knees and playing by rules that only allow 2 dribbles, and they cannot cross the center line. They can play all defense or all offense, but not both. Their schedules are determined by the boys. After all, they're only girls. In 1993, the Iowa High School Girls Athletics Union celebrated 100 years of girls basketball. That same year, they discontinued the 6-on-6 style of play that made basketball more socially acceptable and was beloved across the state. That was also my senior year of high school. As Loretta Lynn, or the late Loretta Lynn, would say, we've come a long way, baby. This year, in June of 2022, Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 is celebrating its 50th year anniversary. The 37 words written by Senator Birch Bayh that spoke to participation, benefits, and discrimination changed education and sport forever. Intended to talk about services, programs, and employment that was federally funded, Title IX oft became associated with sports equity law, when in fact it was anti-discrimination civil rights law. By show of hands, how many women in the audience tonight have had the benefit of participating in some sort of organized sport? Okay. By show of hands, how many men or women have had a daughter, a spouse, a mother, a sister, an aunt, a female coworker who's been associated with sport and benefited? Likely almost all of us. According to the Women's Sports Foundation in a 2018-19 report, the high school participation of girls has increased over 1,000% since 1972. That number for college student athletes is over 500%. That said, the 3.4 million opportunities provided to girls in high school in 2018-19 still had not matched the 3.6 million available to boys in 1972. As a beneficiary of the strong tradition of high school and college sports, as well as my professional career, I have long benefited from the advocacy and activism of the flag-bearing women who simply wanted the opportunity to play. Certainly, women and girls have benefited from the health opportunities, including lower obesity and associated diseases. But it's so much bigger than that. We know that high school girls who play sports are less likely to face unintended pregnancies, they do better in school, and they're more likely to graduate. Girls and women who play sport have higher confidence and self-esteem and lower levels of depression. Girls and women who play sport have more positive body image. One of the most powerful messages that I have both observed and conveyed as an athletics administrator is that of the psychosocial impact of sport on women as they enter the business community. In an EY Ernst & Young report from 2021, it highlights that information. In the boardroom, we know that people are more successful and thrive when they understand competition, work ethic, and grit, all things learned in the field of play. As women advance into leadership, they have a unique advantage having played sport because of their understanding of the skills of team building and problem solving. In fact, 94% of CEOs, women CEOs, recognize some sort of sports background. Right now, in Fortune 500 companies, there are 41 women leading. That's a problem in and of itself. But of those 41 extrapolated, that means 38% of them have some sort of sports background. We know that we often hear that you cannot be what you don't see. I remember as an undergraduate rower at the University of Iowa, sitting in a lecture hall, and at the lectern was women's athletics director and international sports equity icon, Christine Grant. It was at that moment that I listened to her talk that I also understood that there was a possibility for me. Now, after a long career in athletics, I stand before you as the first female commissioner of the National Collegiate Hockey Conference, a premier college hockey conference for men. Shortly after I was hired at St. Cloud State about 10 years ago, I attended a conference for women's athletics administrators. The CEO of the organization hosting the conference had invited leading search firms to come in and talk to us. The message was clear. Women were advancing through their resumes and their experience into the finalist pools, but we were not winning the interviews. Humility and advocacy were seen as weaknesses. We had to own our own experiences in the hard sciences, in the business, in finance, in fundraising. We had to show what we could do. In essence, women needed to train and compete for jobs, just as they competed for championships. Overwhelmingly, women are advancing in circles in business and in politics. But that trajectory is fragile. Often, what is right in front of us is hard for us to see. A few years back, I was asked to participate on a Title IX panel. I was speaking with one of my fellow panelists, and she was lamenting about the continued disparity that we saw in attendance and support of women's athletics. She herself was an accomplished athlete and took great pride in what she had done. I asked her about her own attendance and support, particularly given the ample opportunities for high school, college, and even professional attendance in our kind of local neighborhood. She admitted it wasn't very strong. She was simply too busy. This is where I challenge all of us. All of us. We can't expect the other to take care of the things at hand. We can't believe that actions of the past ensure decisions of the future. Buy the ticket. Put your butts in the seats. Write a check to the booster clubs. If not you, then who? As a longtime college athletics administrator, I have long spoken to student athletes about the irreplaceable nature of the college athletics experience. Headlines would tell you that it's more about name, image, and likeness, the transfer portal, money, games, all that sort of thing. I disagree. Most of our student athletes will play their final games on our collegiate campuses. But over many years, in conversations with alumni 10, 20, 30, and even 40 years out, there are 4 enduring topics that come up. First, the importance of teammates. The friendships and support are lifelong, and they make a difference. Secondly, the coaches. The good or bad, the lessons learned, the advocacy, the mentorship mean a lot. Third, moments. Certainly championship moments, but oftentimes moments of particular games, special games, or events. Even those aha moments where suddenly our students connect the dots. And fourth, funny stories. Some of them I probably shouldn't say on the microphone, but lots of times they are the moments where a bus breaks down in the middle of winter, or you're at your very important game and you forgot your uniform. But those things that could connect us as people and as humanity. About a month ago, I was able to go back to Iowa City, first time in about 10 years, for my alumni rowing reunion. Myself and 6 of my closest teammates rented an Airbnb. We attended some receptions. We went to the opening football game, which was terrible, by the way. Some of you would remember it, South Dakota State and University of Iowa. They didn't score a touchdown. And we also got to take our boat down to the water and enjoy the sight, sound, and feel of a morning Sunday row. which is really incredible. That entire weekend was incredible to me, though mostly because of these friends. My friends are successful lawyers, healthcare professionals, teachers, business executives, and moms. But what I saw and what I heard as they talked about their own lives was the power and the voice that they had earned through their sports participation and how we all brought it together in that room. All of you know a girl in sport. Your support is not simply about the quest for championships. More importantly, your support is to ensure we continue to prepare our young women for the boardroom, the cockpit, and the trade floor. Thank you.